You ever notice how some truths don't arrive? Gently they hit you like a door cracking open in a silent room, letting in a gust of cold air carrying a question you didn't know you feared? That's exactly what happened the moment I touched the postcard. It looked harmless at first glance. Worn edges, a faint scent of dust and old ink. But the moment my thumb brushed the corner, something inside me tightened. Because this postcard wasn't from our world. It was from a reality where one of the greatest empires in history never collapsed, where the Roman Empire still breathed, expanded, conquered, and reshaped the world around it. And somehow, it was calling to me. The city that never stopped growing. The front image showed a skyline that felt strangely familiar, yet completely impossible. Marble aqueducts as tall as modern skyscrapers, running parallel to shimmering glass viaducts. Legionary banners fluttering next to digital screens. A mosaic paved avenue lit by hovering orbs of soft gold-like. Someone fused ancient engineering with futuristic brilliance. In that reality, Rome never fractured. No barbarian invasions unraveling its borders. No political implosion knew slow decay. For them, history didn't freeze in the ruins of the Colosseum. It marched forward. This postcard came from Urbs Eterna Novata, Eternal City Reborn, home to over 90 million citizens. A metropolis that stretched from the old Italian peninsula all the way across the Mediterranean coast like a glittering crown of uninterrupted civilization. But the image wasn't what shook me. It was the message on the back. The message that shouldn't exist. Written in elegant Latin script yet oddly modern was a single line. If you're reading this, your world chose collapse. Ours chose order. A shiver ran through me. Not fear, something else. Something like longing. Because let's be honest, who hasn't wondered how different things might be if the world had taken a different path? If humanity had stayed unified under one banner, if progress had accelerated instead of resetting itself every time empires crumbled. But before I could sink deeper into that thought, something unexpected tugged me back to reality like bumping elbows with a stranger on a train. That tiny jolt reminded me I was still here, grounded in my own world. And yet, the postcard pulsed, warm, like it carried a heartbeat. The empire that outlived time. According to the writing, this alternate Rome didn't simply survive, it adapted. They learned from their own ambition. They embraced sciences early. They replaced superstition with relentless curiosity. They refined their bureaucracy until corruption became nearly impossible. And every conquered culture, rather than being a rest, was woven into a tapestry of evolving identity. By the year 400 before Christo, they'd mastered long-distance communication. By 600, they'd established permanent sky routes with glider-like vessels riding engineered thermal currents. By 1200, their legions traveled not on horseback, but on steam-driven vehicles roaring across stone-reinforced highways. And by the current year printed on the postcard 2780, for Rome commanded not just continents, but planets. A civilization built on discipline, innovation, and the belief that collapse is a choice, not a destiny. They even mention rebellions. But in their history, the empire never eliminated dissent. It integrated it, studied it, learned from it. Where our world built walls of ideology, there was built bridges of adaptation. And reading that, I felt something tighten in my chest. Like this postcard wasn't just a glimpse of another world. It was a mirror held to mine. A warning or an invitation. Near the bottom was another line. We send this not to boast, but to remind you that every empire is a decision made daily. And suddenly, I understood the ache that hit me when I touched the postcard. Because this wasn't a souvenir. It was a challenge, a whisper from a world that refused to break, a world that didn't accept collapse as fate, a world telling us that history is not something that happens to us. It's something we choose to shape. I kept staring at the postcard, trying to understand why it felt so heavy. Maybe you felt something like that too, the pressure of what could have been, mixed with the quiet hope of what still might be. And now it's in your hands. If you could hold this postcard, maybe you feel it too. This strange pulse of possibility. This sense that even though we surrounded by chaos, division, and the cracks of a world struggling to hold itself together, we are not beyond repair. We are not beyond reinvention. We are not beyond becoming something greater. Maybe that's the real message from the Rome that never fell. Empires don't endure because they're powerful. They endure because they refuse to stop evolving. And when you hear that, it's impossible not to wonder, What would your life look like if you refused to collapse? What part of your story could still change if you chose to rebuild instead of break? This postcard isn't just from another reality. It's a reminder, a spark, an invitation to imagine more, expect more, and demand more from the future you're building. And if you've stayed with me all the way here, you already feel it. That quiet shift inside you, that sense of gratitude for a story that didn't just entertain you, it spoke to something deep, something you maybe didn't even realize you needed to hear before you go. If this journey into an alternate realm stirred something in you, if it opened a door you didn't know existed, then don't let it close. Subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and share this story with someone who might need a reminder that history is still being written. And who knows? Maybe, just maybe, another postcard is already on its way.